Good morning, friend. It is early. My family is not even up, and we are heading out into the grow room to start this year's tomatoes and peppers. I'm still kind of waking up a little bit. I've had 1 cup of coffee before I showered. I'm going to have this cup of coffee right now while we head out into the grow room. I need to grab this before we head out there. I did not realize that I got to start all my peppers and my peppers and tomatoes today until Monday. I was looking through my garden journal. This has been amazing. I guess this is technically a garden journal. There's a lot of garden aspects to it that are garden specific, but I don't use any of those. I really have just been using this dotted paper and it works really well. So today is March 14th, so happy Pi Day. And on Monday when I was sitting down to look at what I had started, because I was thinking I would need to start these in about a week or two, I realized I started my peppers last year on February 22nd, and I started my tomatoes last year on February 5th. And for a second there, I panicked for a little bit thinking, oh my goodness, I am so late. But then I remembered my goal was to start all my peppers and tomatoes a good 2 weeks or so after I started them last year. When you start things indoors too early, then they get pretty big and they're really hard to manage, and the plants don't love that when you then go to put them out into the garden. So I wanted to slow down and not rush it. That is what I've done in the past, is I get too excited and I rush and I start stuff too early and I put stuff out in the garden too early. So I don't think I'm going to be planting any tomatoes and peppers out into the garden until at least Mother's Day. So I think we're getting started at a good time right now. So those are my tomatoes and my sweet and hot peppers. I grabbed all my things out because I wasn't sure what bin they were in, but they happened to be in the first bin I opened. I'm going to open these up and start picking out what I am going to start. Now it is pouring outside today, and I normally start my peppers and onions in soil blocks. I've really enjoyed that. That's worked really well for me in the past. But it is pouring out this morning, and what I should have done is pulled out my Vermont compost from out in the rain and brought it inside. But I didn't do that. Okay, so I'm starting a lot less varieties this year, and I'm starting more of fewer varieties than what I have done in the past. Last year, I started 7 sweet peppers and 7 hot peppers. I'm definitely going to reduce that number. So I started 14 variety of peppers last year, and we're not going to start that many this year. I think the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what pepper varieties I'm going to be planting. I'm going through and Googling my Johnny seed peppers because I can't remember what the names are and what they are. So this is a Spitfire F1, it's a hybrid, and I am writing on the seed packet that it is an Anaheim pepper because it doesn't say that on the packet and doesn't have a picture. And this seed packet is a Serrano pepper. One of you guys mentioned that when you buy from Johnny Seeds, you print off the picture of what it is and you tape it onto the seed packet, and I think that that's brilliant. I think I have my lineup here, but I'm going to go through and just check all my peppers. I probably next year should do a challenge where I don't order any new seeds. Should I try Tabasco again this year? I think I've tried Tabasco 5 times. No, that doesn't make sense. I think I've tried them 4 times and never had luck. Maybe we'll try them. Oh, I forgot I liked those ones a lot. Oh, and banana peppers. See, this is why I'm going through and just checking. These were the Anaheims I grew last year, and they were pretty spicy. So I'm hoping the Anaheims that I grow this next year, I'm going to go back and read them. Read what it says. Large, sturdy, upright plants are bushy and bear heavy yield of uniform, attractive peppers. Fruits are similar but larger than the other two varieties of Anaheims they sell, which I always appreciate. More bang for your buck per pepper. And it doesn't say how spicy they are. So that's why I did decide this year to try a different Anaheim, because the ones I got last year were pretty spicy. And what I did with those is I roasted them, I peeled them, I chopped them, I froze them, and I used them just like you would a can of roasted peppers. Here is the lineup that I have so far. So from 14, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So reducing the number by 4, and I might not start these, I'm not sure. So one of my favorite things to grow is hot peppers, because I love spicy food and hot sauce, and I have been able to basically grow and make all of my own hot sauce for the last few years, and I want to continue to do that. But I have yet to be able to ever harvest really one Tabasco pepper. I think I should probably just say no to this year. I'm trying to reduce the variety and increase the volume of each one. So Red Flame is a cayenne pepper, and I've had pretty good luck growing cayenne peppers to turn into hot sauce. I did not make enough red hot sauce this year, so I want to make sure I increase the volume of red hot sauce. And then this is a Anaheim pepper. So that's not really a hot pepper unless this variety of Anaheim is hot. And that's going to be a roasting pepper to use for roasted peppers in recipes. Serrano peppers. I am growing serrano peppers for 2 reasons. And I'm not growing any jalapenos. I've never had very good luck growing jalapenos, but now I'm thinking, what if I want a jalapeno in a salsa and I don't want a serrano pepper in a salsa? My family doesn't love spicy food and I love spicy food. The reason I wasn't going to grow any jalapenos is they don't grow very well for me in the past. I can get a lot more serrano peppers per plant, and serrano peppers are hotter. So I can get a hotter hot sauce and more peppers than with a jalapeno. So that's why I plan to grow quite a few of these. And then this is a new thing for me. I have seen other people grow this, and this is just going to be for fun. This is the Mad Hatter. These are really, really cute, and I would like to see if I could grow a couple of those. So this is really the only new type of pepper I'm growing this year. I've always grown Sugar Rush peach pepper since I was gifted these seeds, and I love them. They're sweet and spicy, but then last year I grew these for the first time, and they are pretty similar to the Sugar Rush peach, but they're probably twice as spicy. So I'm going to grow those, and then we're going to grow some poblanos. These were my favorite, just like green bell pepper. I like to dice these and freeze these. These work great in cooked dishes like chilies and sloppy joes. Anything you would want to cook a pepper from frozen, these are fantastic. And then banana peppers, these are to jar up and pickle, and I am going to try pickling these a different way this year. I have pickled peppers a couple times and they kind of come out soft. I still use them in cooked things, but they're not crunchy, and I watched a video on how to get crunchy home canned pickled peppers, and we are going to attempt that this year. So what I was saying about the Vermont compost is this Vermont compost I got last year is a gift from them, and it's been sitting out in my driveway being rained on. And so it was kind of hard to work with, but this has been sitting in here drying out, and I do actually need to add some water to it before I can make soil blocks because it's actually too dry now at this point. But if the Vermont compost is too moist that's outside in my driveway, I'm not going to waste it. I'm still definitely going to use it, but I might not use soil blocks to start my tomatoes and peppers if I don't have enough soil in order to do that, because I have plenty of other options, and I ordered some other soil right here that I actually like to start seeds with. This is for some other upcoming projects we are going to be doing, which I'm looking forward to. So let's get the peppers started. That will feel good to get that done. Let me think through how many peppers I need. So one thing I did last week is I went through and I drew up a garden layout. This is about as, intricate as my garden planning is. This is a nice kind of overview of my garden, and I want to have 2 bell pepper beds. So that would be 3 times I'm going to give everything more space this year. I am notorious for overcrowding things, and that I think stunts the growth of things. So we're going to do 3 depth, and let's do 3 depth, 14 across. 36 pepper plants. Wow, that seems like a lot. Do I need more than that? I don't think so. So we're going to do, I'm just going to write on here, 36. We'll do 1 bell pepper bed. I think I had 1 bed dedicated to hot peppers. I'm still thinking through how many peppers I'm going to start exactly. So what I think I'm going to do is switch focus and go grab some more Vermont compost. And while I am either going to be making up soil blocks or filling my trays, I will figure out how many peppers I'm going to start. Maybe it'll be perfect and I won't even have to add any water to it. So let's get this in our bucket. Oh, wow. That looks beautiful. Okay, I think I'm going to make soil blocks. Soil blocks take more time up front, so it's going to take me more time to make the soil blocks right now than using little already made cells. But the nice thing about soil blocks is then when I go to up pot them, or if I go to plant them directly in the ground, they take less time and I don't have to then wash and put away little seedling cells. So there's definitely pros and cons to all types of seed starting methods, and it just depends on what variety of crop I am starting and what mood I'm in, what I choose to do. I am a little bit on a time crunch today because I'm meeting a friend in town this afternoon and I need to make sure I give myself enough time to get ready for that. But I should be able to make soil blocks for everything we're going to start today. Okay, that's really nice. So I'm squeezing it and it's holding its shape, but I'm not squeezing out a ton of water. I could squeeze out water if I squeezed really, really hard, but that feels pretty good. I'm happy that soil looks really nice. I probably should not have let it sit on my driveway all winter. And I thought before we start planting anything, let me show you what everything looks like that we already started. So these are the onions I started by myself once I got these red onions from M.I. Gardner, and they have started to come up. These are the onions we started together. They're looking beautiful. And then here are snapdragons. So I still have some snapdragons just starting to germinate, like right here. I'm going to give them another week or so, let them grow out a little bit, and then we will up pot these into individual cells. And I wanted to show you something outside too. It's raining pretty hard, but I want to show you anyway. I don't know if you saw on Instagram that I posted these. Greenstock came out with lids, which I think is so cute and practical. I'm getting it dirty with my glove. This is where you water the green stalk. I didn't clean this out before I put the lid in, but you can see there's bugs and debris. This one's actually not very bad. Some of my other ones are really bad. But what can happen is the little holes where the water goes through get plugged. And so they just came out with this, and I think it's so cute. So you can put this lid on top. Oh my gosh, I'm making this a mess. Good thing it's raining and it'll wash this off for me. But this opens here so you can water it, but then no debris gets inside it. They're offering these lids in discontinued colors. So if you have a green stalk where they don't make the color of that green stalk anymore and you want a lid, they are making the discontinued colors until March 31st. And something really exciting that's happening is Josh and I are going to be heading to Knoxville, Tennessee this weekend to go see where green stalks are made. They invited us on a weekend trip, and I'm really, really excited about that because they are a family-owned company that makes the green stalks in the United States. And so that's going to be really, really fun. So if you're interested in those lids and you happen to have, whether you have a discontinued color or not, I will put that as the first link down in the description box. I think they're so cute and practical. I still need to go through and clean out each one of my lids, my green stalks, but that's a project for another day. Okay, soil blocking. First official soil block of 2025. This Vermont compost is the perfect consistency. Oh, you know what I have? I have a knee cushion. I should probably put my knees on this so that I can do this longer. So I figured this would be easier for me to visualize how many seeds I need to start if I just start making a ton of soil blocks. I'm going and seeing how many I can get on each tray. To make a soil block, all you do is take your soil blocker, which has little nubs at the bottom, so it puts a hole where you're going to put your seed. You push it down into your soil. This soil is formulated for soil blocking. Not all soil will want to do this. I compact it pretty hard, and then I go down onto my tray. I like these trays for soil blocks because they're flat and low and they're easy to water. I push down on this lever a couple times, and then I push and pull, and I have 4 soil blocks. So I'm going to put 1 seed per soil block. So one of these trays can fit 9 rows of soil blocks. So 9 times 4 is 37, right? It's not 37, it's 36, which is exactly how many plants I was saying could fit in one bed. So this represents 1 bed's worth of peppers, and I want 3 beds of peppers. So I'm going to fill up 3 more of these, 3 by 9 or 4 by 9, and that will represent our beds. But I'm also going to go ahead and soil block for tomatoes, and I need 11. I'm just going to do it on a calculator so I don't embarrass myself. Okay, my goal is to have 33 tomato plants, and that should get me enough tomatoes to last me a year, plus enough tomatoes to gift. My garden definitely produces more than what my family needs, and so I am able to put up a year's worth of quite a few items, and then I'm also able to share in the abundance. My friends and family cannot come over in the summer and fall without leaving with a bag full of fresh produce. And sometimes I even take them to their house and drop it off on their doorstep. And not just zucchini, all sorts of items. We've already gone and come back from Knoxville, Tennessee. We just went on this really short 2-night trip. We left extremely early Friday morning and got home on Sunday evening. And I took you guys along. We packed so much into that tiny little trip that I can't wait for you to see all the fun stuff we did in Knoxville and a little bit outside of Knoxville. So we were able to go to Dollywood, which I had no idea how impressive of a theme park Dollywood is. I forgot how much I love roller coasters. Josh and I are now roller coaster people, and we're like, we need to go on more roller coasters because we had so much fun. And then we also got an amazing opportunity to meet the founder of Greenstock, the inventor, and the son who helps develop the product, and the family that runs it. Almost every member of their family runs this incredible company. It is a family business through and through, and it is 100% made and developed in Tennessee, which I think is so cool. So you're going to see all of that trip, where Greenstock is developed, where they're manufactured, and where they ship them out to you, and some of the other fun adventures we do while we are in Tennessee. And I want to let you know that Greenstock is offering an exclusive sale to my community at the end of the month. I can't tell you all the details about it now, but I will be sure to share with you as soon as the sale is live in a video. But I will share probably first in my newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, I will link that down below. The newsletter is basically just a week in the life. I kind of just blabber on about what I did behind the scenes, and I send out about one email a week or so. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the link to my newsletter down below, and on to making lots and lots of soil blocks. It's been about an hour and a half since I made up these soil blocks, and I think I need to make one more set, so we're gonna have a total of 2, 4, 5, and that should be plenty of soil blocks for, looking for my gloves. I think I brought them inside. That should be enough soil blocks for all of the peppers that I need for my family, plus I am gonna be gifting a few of these starts to my mother-in-law. And probably my mom too, which I didn't really consider that until just now. So yeah, I definitely need another one. I was getting a little overheated in here earlier when I was making these soil blocks, and then I left this door open, and now it's kind of cold in here. But it feels good. I'd rather be a little bit on the chilly side than overheated. Fluff this up again. This is working really, really well. And we just sat down and had the very last of those breakfast bagel sandwiches that we made together. And tonight for dinner, we are having the last marinated chicken. So next week, I think we are going to be doing some more big freezer cooking prep days, because we are basically almost out of, oh, shoot. I think I need a little bit more water. I think this dried out just a little bit. We're basically going to be down to probably one more marinated chicken in the freezer. And so we need to do another big prep day, which is going to be good. It's kind of been a little bit of a slower start to the garden season this year for me, because I am not starting quite as much that I've started in the past by this time last year, and I've been going slower when it comes to starts. So I don't have as much that I have to take care of in the grow room, which has been kind of nice. Last night we had a dinner party. I had my brother-in-law, his wife, their kids, and my mother-in-law over and her husband, and we had a St. Patrick's Day dinner. And I didn't take care of any of the leftovers. I didn't take care of any of the decorations, and I certainly didn't do any dishes because I knew I was getting up early. So Josh said, I've got this. He got the dishwasher loaded. He got the serving dishes all washed up by hand. He got most of the decorations put away. So when we were inside having breakfast together, all of those types of things actually got put away, which was nice. So the kitchen is now put back together from last night's dinner. And tonight we're going to have a simple dinner. I'll probably end up cooking up some rice. We'll have some grilled chicken and probably some frozen green beans. Just like that, we have 5 trays of soil blocks ready for this next year's garden. You would have thought with that hour and a half that I was inside, I would have been able to think through exactly what I want to start and how many. Well, I know what I want to start, but how many I want to start. But I didn't do any of that. It does help for me to have all of this soil blocking done to then figure out what I'm going to start and how many. So I think I'm going to do a whole tray of Yellow Monster. Let's see. Probably half a tray of Anaheims, 3 rows of Serranos. Well, do I need that many peppers? 2 rows of Poblanos, 2 rows of a high crystal, 2 rows of Sugar Rush Peach, 1 row of Mad Hatter, 2 rows of Cayenne, and 2 rows of banana peppers. I think that's what I'm going to do. And that hopefully will give me more than I need. But I'm also only going to seed 1 seed per soil block. And does it say the germination rate on this packet? No. I'm assuming it's good though because I just bought these seeds this year. And I'm going to try to only do 1 per soil block. I don't know if I'm the only one like this. I doubt it. But if I put 2 in each soil block and 2 germinate, I'm going to want to try to save every single pepper plant. I don't need that many pepper plants. So I am going to just seed 1 per. And soil blocks are hard to separate them because you destroy the soil block basically if you have to separate more than 1 plant. So that's why I'm just going to do 1 per soil block. Just make my future life easier. And the nice thing about pepper seeds is they're big and they're light in color, so they contrast really well with the soil, so you can really see if you've put 1, 2, or 3 in each soil block. Oh, see, I got 2 in there. I forgot. I was also thinking I wanted to experiment with putting pepper plants in pots this year. Okay, that's 1 whole tray of the Yellow Monster. I have quite a few more pots that we're going to be putting in the garden this year. Lots and lots of pots. I want lots of flowers in pots in the garden. And then I was thinking it would be fun to experiment how well pepper plants do in a pot. I don't know why I want to try that, but I want to try that this year. So I'm doing 4 rows of Anaheim peppers. Well, how many seeds do I have in here? Yeah, I have plenty of seeds. I'm not sure why I want to grow more peppers in pots, but for some reason last year that was something that popped in my head that I wanted to try. But then after going to Tennessee and going to the Greenstock headquarters, I thought it would be super interesting to try and plant out 1 entire Greenstock with just pepper plants. I love growing peppers. I don't know why I enjoy growing peppers so much. I guess it's because I love hot sauce and I love peppers. And so there's something really nice about growing something you really enjoy eating. And I've had pretty good success growing peppers, not fantastic success when it comes to bell peppers. Last year was definitely my best bell pepper year, but hot peppers I have found to be easier to grow. And I thought it might look kind of cool to grow an entire Greenstock out with pepper plants. So we're going to try doing that this year. So I'm actually going to have to start more pepper plants than I just started on this day, or I might just pick up those pepper plants from a local nursery. I'm not exactly sure. I just know that we're going to be growing lots of peppers this year because they are delicious and they're fun to grow. At this point, I'm just putting a seed in each one of the soil blocks and thinking through how many pepper plants I think I need. I do want to try to grow a year's worth of peppers for hot sauce because I love hot sauce. And then I was thinking why I wanted to grow so many serrano peppers is I would like to be able to make cowboy candy with serrano peppers instead of jalapenos. My brother loves hot things more than I do. He can just snack on habaneros, no problem, hardly breaks a sweat. And he loves cowboy candy, so I thought if I could make it with serrano peppers, he might even like that a little bit better. So the next thing I want to do now that I have seeds in all of these trays is I'm going to mark down what I started. I started 12 Anaheims last year, and this year I started 16. And last year I only started 16 yellow monsters, and this year I'm starting 36. I did 8 banana peppers last year, and this year I'm doing 16. I started 4 a high crystal, and this year I'm doing 8. I started 4 sugar rush peach, this year I'm doing 8. And I didn't start any cayenne peppers last year. And I started 8 serranos, and this year I am doing 12. Okay, let me write that down. Another thing I'm writing down here, because you all told me, is in this journal I should go ahead and just mark if something needs light to germinate, and I think that that is a brilliant idea. Or not. Peppers and tomatoes don't need light to germinate. Now that I have everything marked in my journal, I need to mark on here what everything is. So those are all planted. I can get these back into their container. And I'm going to go ahead and just top these with some soil after I have a cup of, or a sip of coffee. I think what I did last year that worked really well actually is I didn't top them with soil. I just took a pen and kind of pushed a little bit of the soil on top, because pepper seeds only need to be planted about 1/8 of an inch, so I should be able to collect enough soil. They're pretty thin seeds, so they don't need to be planted very deep. I'm trying to be careful not to actually break the soil block if I can help it. And I'm trying to make sure that if there was a little stick or a rock or something in the soil, that's not going on top of the seed, because that would inhibit germination. Same thing over here. This might be a bad idea. Yeah, not a good idea. Way too much water. Okay. I hope I didn't just wash away all my seeds right here, but it'll be okay. 2025 peppers are ready to go. Huge accomplishment. Now what we're going to do is focus on tomatoes. I know that I grew a very good amount of tomatoes for us last year. We are still enjoying the marinara sauce, but I am well over halfway done with it. And so that seems like a good amount now that it's like March and I'm not going to be in tomatoes again until probably early August. It's usually when I first start getting tomatoes, so that should get us through 1 year. I don't want so many tomatoes that, well, I want enough tomatoes to put up a year's worth of marinara sauce for my family and some diced tomatoes. Eat a ton fresh. I want enough tomatoes to be able to gift, but I don't want to be drowning in tomatoes. I don't want it to feel like a burden to find people to gift them to. I want it to be people excited, not people like, oh my gosh, Becky's here with another bag of tomatoes, because I've had years like that. It's not a bad thing. It just feels like a burden to do that. So I want people to be excited, and I want to be excited with the amount of tomatoes I have. I don't want to be overwhelmed with the amount of tomatoes I have. So last year I grew a total of 20, 30, around 70-ish tomatoes, give or take. And I had way too many tomato plants that I did end up just composting them after I gifted some to my mother-in-law, my mom, and my neighbor. And I just couldn't find enough homes for them. The amount of tomatoes I want for myself this year are, I wrote it down earlier. Gotta find my garden plan. I want 2 beds of just Roma tomatoes that are a determinate variety, because that worked really, really well for me last year. That's what I like to make sauce out of. So I want 22 Roma plants. My mother-in-law asked for some Roma plants. So I want 22 for myself. 22. Let me pull out my tomatoes here. My mother-in-law also wants clementine. Those are my peppers. Uh-oh. I put my peppers in my tomato container. The Roma tomatoes I've always grown in the past were from M.I. Gardner, and I've always had such good luck with them. But by the time I went to order my seeds, they were sold out. And so I don't know if I have any more Roma tomatoes seeds from last year. So I have to look through these. So I did buy some Roma tomato seeds from, okay, here's my Roma tomato seeds from M.I. Gardner, from Johnny's. But I've never grown that variety before. And I have 0 seeds in here. I didn't think I had any. I thought I used them all last year. And I'm going to go ahead and Google all of my Johnny Seeds tomatoes that I bought this year so that I can write on the package what they are. Because I didn't have my tested, tried and true Romas that I grow from M.I. Gardner, I did some research on Johnny's website, and I decided to get the Grandero Roma plant. And this is what it says. The Grandero, I'm probably not saying that correctly, produces very high yields of uniform, attractive, bright red, 4 to 5 ounce tomatoes with very good flavor, thick-walled fruits, ideal for fresh tomato sauces, salsas, and salads. Broad disease resistance, and it is, I just realized this is an indeterminate variety of Romas. Normally I grow my Romas in a bed, not on a trellis, because normally my Romas that I grow are determinate varieties. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna go through my seed packets. I need to write that on here. What I'm doing here on these seed packets for the tomatoes is I am writing down a few more descriptives so that it triggers me and I know what that tomato is supposed to look like. And I'm writing down whether it's a determinate variety of tomato, meaning it's a bush tomato, or if it's an indeterminate variety of tomato, meaning it's a vining tomato. And I'm writing what it looks like. So an orange cherry tomato, or a red cherry tomato or whatever, because they don't have pictures and they don't have very many descriptives of what they look like on the seed pack. They just have the formal name, and I can't always remember what the tomato or variety is looking like if it's a new variety to me. And so it's very helpful for me to write down a few more descriptions on the seed packet. I think Johnny Seeds gears towards more of farmers than home gardeners. Anyone can buy from them, but I think that's why they don't put pictures on their packets. And it's also very expensive to put pictures on the packets. But I am someone who is a very visual person, so I need more descriptive so that it can trigger my brain. I do think the idea of printing the picture and taping it on the seed packet is brilliant. I just don't have a colored printer, and so this has worked really well for me. When I get to planting my pumpkins, I'm going to need to do the same thing, where I'm going to need to put a few more descriptives on the front of the seed packet, like big round orange pumpkin or big flat white pumpkin, and then that will trigger my brain to remember what that pumpkin is supposed to look like. So because I am in this like Roma tomato conundrum, I'm going through the rest of my tomato seeds to see if I can find any potential Roma tomato seeds, to see if I might want to plant those. And I'm also going through my slicing tomatoes to see what type of slicing tomatoes I want to plant. I do know that I'm not going to be growing any like round red tomatoes. I like when I grow heirloom tomatoes to be super firm and dense and have very, very few seeds. And so I don't really love the traditional round red tomato. I like you're going to see, I'm going to show you the varieties that I really, really like. And I've really been able to hone in my favorite varieties over the years. And so I'm just going through and trying to pick those favorite varieties out. What I found is this packet from 2020, and these are Martino's Roma plants. They're a determinate. So I've had these, this is 5 years now. It says that these are determinate, which means they are a bush variety of tomato. They're fantastic yield of richly flavorful plum-shaped paste tomatoes on a compact plant, tolerant to early blight. I counted these. I have 24 of these, and my M.I. Gardner Romas, I don't know what variety. This says Martino's Roma tomato. This just says Roma. So I don't know if it's what kind of Roma it is. I think I have 25 Roma plants on here. I'm a little nervous banking all of my tomatoes if I was to start all of these and do my 2 beds of determinate tomatoes on these, because I can't remember if I like them or not. I've always had good luck growing determinate Romas. I like determinate because they all kind of come on at once. I grew the San Marzanos last year. I loved the quantity, but they come in really slow. So to make tomato sauce, if I wanted to do a big tomato processing day, I would have to collect them as they ripen, put them all in the freezer, and then do one big day with frozen tomatoes. I would not be able to do one big day of fresh tomatoes because I wouldn't be able to collect enough to make that happen. I would have to do lots of little batches, and I don't want to do that. Last year I did 2 big tomato processing days, and I don't want to do any more than 2 big tomato processing days because it is a lot of work. It makes my kitchen a mess, and I even had Josh's help last year. So that's why I like the determinate, because, and I like the way they look in beds. I like having 2 tomato beds in my garden because then I just put flowers around it and it's pretty. But I could freeze them all and do it when they're all frozen, and then I could get away. But then I couldn't do slicing. I couldn't do diced tomatoes. Oh man, I should have ordered my tomato seeds earlier. That's what the takeaway on this is. I guess what we'll do, I really wanted to try a new hybrid variety of aromas too, because I just thought that that would be fun. These earrings are driving me crazy. I'm gonna take these off. This is how I think through things. I just come out here and need to see it all. So I'm gonna plant all of my Martino's Romas, my one, and I think I have 24 of those. So we'll put that here. So it'd be 6, 12, 24. Okay, so basically this whole tray. Now what I need to do is figure out that was me totally losing track of what I was saying and started thinking about what I wanted to do and just cut myself off and never finished that sentence. But basically what I'm doing is laying out my seed packets on my soil blocks to help me visualize how many plants I can start and how many I want to start of each one. I am not someone who comes into this grow room with a plan. I have a basic idea. You saw my garden plan. It's super bare bones and basic. I don't figure out how many of each thing I need to start before I come in here. I do that while I'm in here. I like to talk through it. I like to feel it. I like to see it. And this is what's worked for me. This is how I've basically always started my seeds. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking my seed packets, laying them on the soil blocks. I like to make sure generally each row of soil blocks is one variety of thing, because that's just easier to label, and I'm not a very good labeler. And so one thing that's helped me become a better labeler is to try to have each row be one variety, because then it's just easier for me to label things. And then what usually ends up happening is I will start, all of these seeds. Some of them will turn out great. Some of them might not germinate well. And sometimes I will still, even with starting all of this stuff, I will go to my local greenhouse, say I'm shopping for something else, or I'm at the grocery store, or I'm at a big box store, and I see a plant or a variety that I didn't start. I might pick up some more tomato plants or pepper plants. And my goal is to try not to start so many things that I end up having to kill or compost starts, because that just breaks my heart. It's not a big deal. It doesn't take me that much more time to start 40 tomato plants than 80 tomato plants. So if I have to compost a few, it's not like I'm out a lot of time or money. It's just a few seeds, but it just hurts my heart. So I'm trying not to start a crazy amount of plants so that I have enough for myself, I have enough to gift, and I won't have to compost too many of them. This took me probably about 15 minutes to figure out, and this is what we're going to start. I'm definitely going to be starting more than I need again this year, but that's just what I do because I'm not sure about these 2020 seeds that I have right here. So depending on germination and all that, I'm going to plant every single one I have. So from here over, I'm going to be, or as many as I have, I'm going to be planting the Roma tomatoes. And then here, hopefully they do well. If they don't end up doing well, I guess I could also purchase determinate tomato plants. Gosh, but I do like starting my own because tomato plants are relatively easy to start. So anyway, I'm going to do about 24 of these, every seed I have, and we'll see how far we get. I'm going to do 4 of these clementine. This is my mother-in-law's favorite, and she asked me to start some of these for her. And so I want some, and I'm going to give her some. Josh likes these chocolate pears. I didn't get any to germinate last year, or not germinate. I didn't plant any. I just ended up not getting any planted, so I want to get some of those for him. I'm going to do 4 of those, and I'm going to do 4 of these crack-resistant orange cherry tomatoes from Johnny Seed. This is a new variety to me. These I have grown before, but I can't remember what this is like. Over here, I'm going to do every seed that I have of this indeterminate Roma plant from Johnny Seed. I have 15 of them. I'm going to try to plant 15. And then I'm going to do 1 row of each of these. You can notice that I don't have any except this one that are red slicers, just like a traditional red tomato, because I don't prefer those. These are my favorite tomatoes right here. My favorite tomato is this pineapple tomato. So I'm going to plant 4 plants of those. I'm going to do 4 plants of the big rainbow, 4 plants of old German, 4 plants of mortgage lifter. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to plant those. I think I'm going to do 2 rows of pineapple because they're my favorite. I'm going to do 1 row of Dr. Witchies and 1 of this is a new cherry variety to me. I've never grown this one before, but I wanted to give this I don't know how to say that, variety a try. This was my garden plan before. I had 2 beds of determinate Roma tomatoes. These were going to be Roma tomato beds here. Last year, my Roma tomatoes were in these beds. I'm going to bring them down 1, and I was going to put them here. hopefully I have enough Roma tomatoes from these to plant 2 beds out. And then I was going to do 2 trellises along this back side of tomatoes. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is 3. I was going to do pole beans, tomatoes, pole beans, tomatoes, pole beans. But because I want one whole row back here to be the Romas that I got from Johnny's Seed, this has thrown me for a loop a little bit. The reason I like to start my tomato seeds and pepper seeds is where I live at the big box store, it's about $4 a plant. And that adds up really quickly when you're talking 36 plants in one of these. And I already have the equipment and the grow lights, so all I need to do is put in the work and get a few seeds, and I can start my own. But if I need to buy some, I can, but man, threw me for a loop. I like things to be symmetrical in my garden, so that's why I had it set up this way. So I'm going to do pole beans, slicing tomatoes, the indeterminate Roma tomatoes, slicing tomatoes, pole beans. That's on the back side of these 5 garden beds. And then I was going to have pole beans here, so then I decided I'm going to put pole beans here and pole beans on these 2 trellises here. I love the look of pole beans on these trellises because they fill them out really well, especially this one, because I can see this one from my living room. And I want to look down and see that full of foliage versus tomatoes don't always fill the entire trellis out, especially when I go through and prune them. So I want to make sure I have pole beans there. So we're going to do bookends of pole beans at the top row on the trellises and then 3 tomato plants on the inside. I feel good about that. I'm going to get these planted. I just remembered my brother-in-law wants to start gardening this year. And I told him I would have lots of tomato plants for him. So I am starting 36 times 2. That's obviously more than I need. So I have one more person I'm going to be able to gift these tomatoes to. So my mother-in-law, my mom, my neighbor, and my brother-in-law. It's going to be his first year gardening. He wants to build a couple raised beds, and I forgot, I told him, don't you worry, I'm notorious for overplanting tomatoes and peppers. You will have some of those from me. What I was just thinking about when I was doing this is I love, because this is my fifth year now starting seeds, that I'm starting to have favorite varieties. When I first started, it was so overwhelming even thinking about choosing different varieties. And I definitely am starting to get to the point where I'm having favorite varieties and still trying to experiment with some new things. I don't have a favorite cherry tomato variety yet. Josh likes the chocolate, but I don't have a favorite one that I like to grow. But the slicing tomatoes and the Romas, I have a favorite. And I'm not afraid to try new things. I am a little nervous about this year's Romas, but I'm sure it'll work out just fine. I shouldn't say that. I've had pretty good success growing tomatoes in the past, so hopefully this year is no different, even though we are doing some things a little different. But it's just fun starting to have favorite varieties. I don't know why, but I'm just enjoying that. Okay, so my goal this year was to start less varieties of peppers and tomatoes. I know I started less varieties of peppers. I started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 varieties of peppers this year. And last year I started 14. This year I started 2 varieties of Romas, 1, 2, 3, 4 varieties of cherries, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 varieties of slicing tomatoes. So total, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Last year I started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 varieties of tomatoes. So we definitely started a few less varieties. And let me kind of walk you through exactly what I started here because I changed it up just a little bit. From here over, we have aromas. We have 4 clementine, 4 citrine, and 4 of the flavoretta. These are all a cherry-ish type variety. Now these are a little bit bigger. They're about this big. These make excellent, excellent fresh salsa. So that's what those are, and those are for me and my mother-in-law. So I'll probably take 2 plants and I'll give her 2 plants if they germinate because I planted 4. She will absolutely get one, so if I only get 1 to germinate, that one goes to her. And then I decided to go ahead and try growing 2 Paul Robeson tomatoes. These are always my earliest slicing tomato. They're not my favorite. They are delicious, but they're not my favorite. But there is something nice about having something that you know is going to set fruit and ripen quickly. So that's not a cherry tomato. Cherry tomatoes always ripen and I start harvesting those first before the big slicers. But this is a slicing tomato that you can make on a sandwich or something like that that is going to ripen quickly. So I went ahead and started 2 of those. So we'll see if I get any of those. I started 2 chocolates, 4 Dr. Witchies, 4 big rainbows, 8 pineapple, because these are my favorite. They're huge. And I actually diced these and canned them as diced tomatoes, and they diced up perfectly because the flesh is nice and firm, very few seeds, and just delicious. 1 tomato, I think, filled 4 pint jars of diced tomatoes because they're big and firm and yummy. 4 Old German, and I did 12 of these indeterminate Romas. So there we have 2025's tomatoes and 2025's peppers. So tomatoes generally germinate much quicker than peppers. Peppers can take up to 2 weeks to germinate. I do have them on my heat mat. My heat mat is not turned on at the moment. Peppers like heat when germinating. You don't have to have it when germinating them, but they will germinate much, much quicker. Tomatoes, you don't have to have a heat mat, but they will also germinate quicker if you have a heat mat. So I need to get a piece of plastic wrap on these, and I need to put this heat mat thermometer, I probably actually should put it on the side here so that I can get plastic wrap on these. And this was so productive. What I need to do for the rest of the afternoon is clean up my mess here, write down the tomatoes that I started and how many I started of each tomato. And then I need to get cleaned up, and I'm meeting a friend in town, and then I need to start researching olive oils. Tomorrow, Josh and I are going live, and we're doing an olive oil taste test, and I want to research and learn a little bit about olive oil before we do that. We're doing a blind taste test from olive oils from multiple different stores at many different price points, so that's going to be kind of fun. And then I need to pack, and then we are heading to Tennessee to visit Greenstock, which is going to be so fun. That's just a short little trip. We leave Friday. I think we have to be at the airport at like 4 a.m. So it's going to be like a, I don't know, 3 a.m. wake up call, something crazy like that. And then we come back Sunday. So just a really, really quick trip. Okay, these are peppers, hot peppers. Just trying to clean up my mess a little bit. It feels like garden season has officially started at this point because tomatoes and peppers have been started. I can actually put these away because I'm not going to need these again unless something tragic happens. Now, one thing with soil blocking is you always, always, always want to clean this out, because if you leave all of this moist, wet dirt in here, it is going to harden and it is going to be unusable without a bunch of cleaning up. I'm going to throw these away. We have a neighbor that does come and check on our chickens when we are out of town. And so what I will ask my neighbor to do as well will be just to check on these starts. I will water them before we go. And then as soon as, if she sees any germination, throw them under the grow light. There we have it. All right, that was amazing. 2025's peppers and tomatoes are started. When I get back, the first thing I need to do is plant my ranunculus and anemones. I could do that today, but I don't think I have time. I think I need to go inside, get cleaned up, and we will just start them when we get back. I plan to do a bunch of flowers in pots as well throughout the garden, and I'm going to try this year not to overcrowd my garden beds. So I was thinking it'd be really pretty if I had a ton of pots with single colored flowers in them, and it would be really easy to harvest for bouquets. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I think I'm going to do as soon as I get back. So I want to thank you, friend, for being here. Thank you for being you. Let me pop some videos here you can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Cheers. Bye, friend.